What's up, guys? Welcome to the Disney Taketh podcast, episode number 47. 3 more away from the infamous episode 50, which I realized just last week we were so close to getting to, and I'm very excited about that accomplishment. So let's keep going here with the obvious discussion points that need to be made in this week's podcast. We were doing an attraction series, and we will continue that today. But first and foremost, I think as most of us all know already, and if you don't know, you've been on the rock last week, Disney has done a couple of things that have made a few people not so happy. And by a few people, I mean a few million people. First of all, they decided to discontinue the Magical Express service from MCO, which is the International Airport in Orlando, to the Walt Disney World property, as my dog decides to bark in the background. So lots of people are angry about that, and I'm not going to go ahead and say that I'm angry about that, but I look at it like, excuse me, I look at it like it is one less reason why I should spend extra money to stay at a Walt Disney World resort. I know a lot of people have said it's basically burst the Disney bubble in a sense, or is one step closer to bursting the Disney bubble, depending on how far you think they've already gone with that. And I would say that, coupled with the fact that they're also getting rid of the extra magic hours, have really gotten to the point now where why do I not just go find some of these condos 15, 20 minutes off property, sometimes even closer, are half to a third to a fourth of the price of staying on resort. And when I'm on resort now, I don't have anything to pick me up at the airport. And I know the train's coming, and we'll talk about that. But it's like when you get on the Magical Express, it's like they say in the video, your vacation has begun. And now it's go to the airport and, find your third party means of transportation to the resort, and then your vacation begins. Oh, and by the way, you can't stay late in the parks, or go early in the parks. Well, you can go early, we'll get to that in a minute. But you can't go, enjoy your extra magic hours anymore either. So what really is the perk to staying at a Disney resort, other than obviously Disney resorts are nice and stuff? And as we spoke about last week, there's on-property transportation to the parks and stuff, which is probably pretty much all that's left. Is it, I guess the question I'll bring to you, John, to start is it still worth staying there, and is it worth the same? Is it worth less? What do you think?
I think it's still worth staying on property because, yes, like you said, you don't get that bubble experience right from the airport, but now, you still get that experience when you're on property. But I don't think it's worth as much, but we all know that they're probably going to raise prices next month anyway, like they normally do. But that's something else. I guess I don't know. It's judging from everything they're doing as of now with all this pandemic stuff, it's obviously not worth. They're not making, or they're not seeing the same volume of people taking the buses. So in general, and then on top of this, they have to send 2 and 3 buses to pick up the same amount of people that would be going to a resort. So you're probably spending more money. So I see, in the sense of a business standpoint, why they would be getting rid of it. but just from my experience, the last 2 trips we haven't used Magical Express ourselves. We find like this last trip we rented a car, and the trip before that we just got like a driving service. Basically, it's the thing, you know, with Magical Express, you don't know how long it's going to take to get you to the resort too. And it was just, we found it was easier just to get someone to drive us there in 20-25 minutes and we're on property. But I understand from a standpoint of like a family that maybe has kids that are, you know, if they have little kids 5 and under, or where they need car seats and carriages and all that, then that's definitely a bigger deal to try to find your own way to get to the park with all this extra stuff when you could just throw it under the bus. So, I mean, I know somebody will pick it up, whether it be how Mears, they use Mears for other services, where maybe they'll just pick up and you're just gonna have to pay a fee now, which is what it is at that point. But I don't know. I mean, it still is another year away, so maybe something can change, and hopefully something does change. And you know, they're throwing it out there now to get people prepared, and maybe something good will come out of it that we don't know yet. But at least they're letting us know well in advance. But
I think those points. I mean, those are valid points. I think why people get skeptical on those points, though, is that even before the pandemic, with Bob Chapek taking over as CEO, everyone kind of anticipated, because of the way he was handling the parks, that these cuts were going to come. And it was just a matter of like, what is he going to skim on the top, you know, to get a better bottom line.
Yeah.
So it makes you wonder if this was just something that was going to happen anyway. And even if it did happen anyway, I guess we can see how it kind of shakes out as far as if it's not that big of a deal. But I mean, we're not young anymore, but we're young enough where we're tech savvy, like basic tech savvy to go and get an Uber or go on or be on the internet and figure out what we're going to do before we get down there and stuff like that, and make arrangements and stuff. There are people that aren't like that though, and I think Magical Express was, you know, bundle. If they went to a, I personally don't. I know you guys do. Use travel agents. You know, the travel agent will get all that situated for them. And I guess, like you said, if Mears comes back into the picture with, I mean, Mears kind of runs Magical Express anyway, but I can remember going to Disney World and just getting it. Like Mears was a fee that was included on the trip and getting on it. But I don't know. I guess it's not like it's. I guess what I'm trying to. My question was like, my point, I guess, that people are trying to make is, it's not that it's essential or that it's a huge thing per se. Like there's other ways, but it just was something that was included, and just made the experience a little bit better. And it's like, well, I get rid of it.
And I know a lot of people use, especially like if you got to MCO at 8-9 o'clock in the morning, you don't have to worry about your luggage. They take your luggage and it'll magically be in your room when you check in at 3-4 o'clock, which that's a big deal for some people too. And then now with this, you have to go through that extra thing where instead of, I could just go get off the plane, whatever, get a car, get on Magical, whatever it was, and just shoot right to a park, get in. Now you specifically have to go to your hotel, wherever it is, to check your bags into, for them to hold them for you. So it's just, I don't know. Maybe there's a big plan that they have that.
Well, I'm hearing,
letting us know.
Not to interrupt, but I'm hearing that, and this is, I think, speculation or rumor. I don't know how true any of this is, obviously, that with the train, they're going to still carry the luggage for you. So you can get on the train, go to downtown Disney stop, get on your resort bus to downtown Disney area, and go to your resort, do all that stuff, and your bag will be there. Yeah. I guess if that happens, not a big deal, I suppose.
No, it's just like, it's extra time to get to Disney Springs, then to get to,
Yeah,
but
basically, you
it's
and I both
still,
know it's kind of a pain in the butt.
yeah. But I mean, it's still, but then it's a train, so it could be quicker because the trains, they don't have to sit in traffic. So in that sense, it could be quicker. But
Well,
I don't know that
I would imagine the train's going to get to the property in like half the time at least,
probably
which I guess is good. But
Disney Springs
I
going
don't
to
know.
set up a whole
It just
separate
remains to be seen.
thing. Yeah, I mean, it's a year away.
Yeah, and we get. I guess we jump to these things because it just feels like something's being taken away, and like nothing's getting cheaper. So why should things that people have grown accustomed to go away? I guess is kind of the thing with that. But
yeah, no, I know. We are talking about booking our. I just emailed a travel agent today about booking because, not that the kids still have to pay. Oh, we have to pay for the kids' tickets and all that stuff, and we know February is usually the time they up the ticket prices. So now it's like, get in there quick before they up them because they're not going to cut us any breaks anyway.
yeah, because we've been talking about going to, but just because of my situation, we're gonna wait. Whenever I get the vaccination, then I'll be on my way, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But we're gonna ride that out a little bit longer. But anyway, and let's talk briefly now on the other side of this too. The other part of this, I should say, is so the extra magic hours going away. Also, now I guess they're going to offer like every day. There's going to be an opportunity to go into the parks, like I guess a half hour earlier. But that's kind of been the deal. I've heard this on the podcast too, but it's kind of been the deal anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess if they let you in the park a half hour earlier, but everything was open, like if they let me into Hollywood Studios a half hour before everybody else, well, that wasn't a resort, and I could actually jump on Slinky Dog or something.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't rope drop. Good. So we didn't rope drop any of this last trip, so we don't know how it was. But in July, we rode. We at Hollywood Studios, we rode Runaway Railway before we even attempted to get a boarding pass for Rise of Resistance, and there was nothing, So it's they're not giving any extra because they're already doing it.
And that's just kind of
whether they're going to check specifically if you're staying at a hotel, I don't know, but
it might be. Yeah, I don't know if we program into the Magic Band maybe. But then another thing is like, why not? Like they were doing it with Galaxy's Edge early when it opened in Disneyland. Why not like give us again? If you're on property, you get a guaranteed reservation. You get one guaranteed group on Rise of Resistance. That would be good. Because a lot lately, I know you and Sarah had that problem last time you were there.
Yeah,
I've been seeing it a lot on the internet and stuff. A lot of people have been having a hard time getting on there of late. And I hate
it seems like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 10 seconds you have.
I don't know what I hate to think of. That sucks, because that's just a lot of people. I mean, I know when we were there in January, like the only thing I really like they could have not gotten on 12 different rides as long as they got on Rise of Resistance. Like that was my main goal. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And we had like zero problems on that trip, but it was before COVID too, so I don't know. But yeah, so taking away the extra park hours, and then the other thing about extra park hours is like sometimes the extra park hours are like pretty good. Like if you went in the middle of summer and like you could get the Magic Kingdom, I think it would like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you could get like it was like a 2-hour extra Magic hours time period or so. Where like I know Ari and I we went in June, not this past June, but June before, almost 2 years ago now. They kept the Magic Kingdom open until 1 a.m. on extra Magic hours. So I believe we go from 11 to 1. And you got a lot done and from 11 to 1.
Yep.
So that's a nice perk. My guess is we're just going to sell a lot more Disney After Hours experiences instead, which I can kind of understand, of course, because it's a money grab. I think they're doing good with that. I've done it a few times.
I've never done one, but they seem good.
It's pretty fantastic. it's pretty pricey, but it's, you know, you just feel like staying the hell with it on your vacation and spending that money ahead of time. It's certainly worth it. I mean, my mom was more like, once we did it, she was like, I might just like not even buy tickets to the park and just, you don't need to
go to that.
And just get those a couple of times, because
Yeah.
she was like, I get to the park for 3 hours. It's cooler at night.
Mm-hmm.
It is, I mean, the Animal Kingdom night that we did was unbelievable. It was like nobody there. I mean, there were just times where, I mean, I'm sure you've seen YouTube walkthroughs or something, but you just don't see anybody. And Magic Kingdom was like a little full, more full.
Yeah.
But didn't still, we just like started from the left and went right around the back, like one after another. No problem.
Yeah. I mean, that's how, like, when we went in the end of July, I mean, I'm assuming that's how it was when it was empty, where basically you went on, as soon as you got off a flight of passage, there was a cast member standing there saying, well, you can go this way. You want to get back in line to go back on the ride because it's a 5-minute wait.
Yeah, because we rode Flight of Passage twice. It was just, the only time it took was just to re-walk around and not go back on. We rode Dinosaur. At one point, we rode Dinosaur. I just thought it was cool. We were the only ones. We were literally the only ones on Dinosaur. Just going through. It's kind of a neat experience to be on a ride by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then same thing with Splash Mountain, and when we were in Magic Kingdom. You know, if you're a pass holder, and stupid me, I sprung for all of. We wanted to surprise. We were with my aunt and my mother at the time. We wanted to surprise them because we had a Magic Kingdom one already booked, but we wanted to surprise with the Animal Kingdom because we just kind of figured Flight of Passes wasn't going to really sync up right unless we did this. Because at the time it was like you weren't getting on it unless you were waiting 3 hours. So we just did the hell of it and bought everyone a thing and surprised them the next day. But we ended up getting season passes, annual passes at the end of that trip, like deducting our ticket price and getting the annual pass.
Yeah.
What I would have done at the beginning of the trip, I didn't realize at the time I would have got $40 off each one of those passes. So I would have saved like basically a pass worth and almost 2 passes worth. So like a $200 savings because I think it's $95 I think if you buy them with season passes, which is a really good deal. Like if you and Sarah go down there by yourselves, for example, it's not. I mean, it's still $200, but it's still not a bad. It's like 2 of you without kids could like really make that worthwhile. Let me tell you. But anyway, yeah. And so what else? Oh yeah. So Disneyland is discontinuing the annual pass program, at least for now. Now I believe that park is like 75 or 80% local traffic versus the opposite way at Disney World. So it's a very, very much a locals park.
Yeah.
So I would imagine, well, I can imagine why those people are upset. Because what are you talking, $110? You know, or whatever it is to get into the park, and then versus you paid your $1,000 at the beginning of the year and went anytime you wanted, especially with the bloggers. Yeah. So I'm curious to see, like, my guess is that because they're only going to be a limited capacity is why they're doing this.
Yeah.
It just seems, I guess they just figure they can really tick people off and then they're just going to come back anyway. I don't know.
It seems that way. I mean, it seems like everything they have done with prices, whatever, people still go. So I don't know if they're going to see how far they can take it before people stop going, but
I mean,
I don't know. By the time Disneyland opens, it's going to be it's got to be been closed for a year at least, probably more. So I mean, I understand why they're doing it because at that point every person that had an annual pass is just getting like a free year, and then I don't know. It's just gets it very complicated, and you know, like you said with the reservation, I don't know. It just seems a lot more complicated because, you know, there's only the 2 parks over there, so it's just a ton more people trying to get into a lower capacity place, and I don't know. I'm sure they'll do something with California resident type. I'm sure it's just
California,
it's just a totally different.
It's not handling the pandemic
situation
very well either. which
Yeah.
is playing into this. I mean, the whole thing's a mess as it is. Don't get me wrong, but like Florida has an entire resort, 4 parks, and they're getting. I mean, you've gone twice now. It seems to be running smoothly, and they can't get this. They can't get Disneyland up and running.
No.
And I know Disney's tried on several occasions to make arguments such as like they're not really, they shouldn't be considered a normal theme park and things like that. And I kind of agree, actually. It stimulates the economy in that area so much that they should have special consideration. And, you know, they're not getting it or whatever. So I don't know. But that's going to continue. I mean, I would imagine annual passes aren't going to come back until who even knows. I mean, let's say by 2022 they're able to go back to regular business. It might even take a little while after that before they even consider that again. Although, once you're at full capacity, you almost got to sell those things, right? Because I mean, I don't think enough people vacation into the state for them to not. Yeah. So like people that go, I'm sure there's pass holders that go. Like, if I lived there within 20 minutes of the park and I had a pass, I'd be going there. I don't know how many times a month. So I can imagine going there that many times a month, 5, 10, 20 times a month at $100 pop. That's just crazy. So I don't know. That remains to be seen. But I guess the bottom line with all of this is that it's rubbing people the wrong way. And is it, excuse me, is it the end of, like, have we seen the last of these moves too? Like, what's next? I'm sure it'll be something. Price hikes, first of all.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely coming. But I mean,
different than usual price hikes, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, but part of me, part of me is like, well, we're getting less for, you're paying more for somewhat same and I guess even less of what you're normally. But then the other part is, well, they're a business that's trying to survive through all this too, so you understand you understand both sides, and you can get mad at both sides. But Disney's they have stockholders and all that. You got to make everybody happy in some way. But I don't know, we have to just ride it.
Well, the stock price
and see what happens.
The stock price isn't quite suffering as of yet, so. But I mean, I do get it. This has gone on like this is a demand economy, and when you have a park that operates every day, 365 days a year, and it's completely packed all the time, you start to get a certain expectation, and then when literally someone's, it comes to a screeching halt, like literally over, so seemingly overnight. It's I can see how that could be tough, but it still sucks.
Yeah.
For everyone. And then like when they do recover, and they will, because I mean, people like us exist everywhere. It will be interesting to see if there's any, give back to the people that remain loyal. But I don't know.
I think and then aside, as long as, I don't know. I don't think you're going to get real big change until Bob Chapek's not the CEO.
Yeah.
It kind of, he wanted to cut things in this, happened while he was CEO. So it's kind of it's bad for, everybody, but it's good for his bottom line is what he wanted to do. So.
I mean,
I don't know.
Going back to replacing the photographers with photo boxes, and it's just all chintzy nickel and dime stuff that it's just you are what you are because you were known for not cutting corners. Now you're becoming just like everyone else and cutting corners.
Yeah.
And obvious. I mean, I get like little corner cuts where like no one really notices, or it's clever. But when you start doing things that are noticeable, like the photo pass is a great example where you just see that and you're like, okay, this is lame.
Yeah, because the last summer we did when we went to the right when you walk in Magic Kingdom, where Mickey and Tinker the meet and greet for Mickey and Tinkerbell. We had gone on the Tinkerbell one. It was weird because they had the box there. And it was just it just felt weird to even. It's strange as compared to when we went to meet Mickey when they still had the photographer. It was just night and day. So
yeah. What do you got?
We don't make those decisions.
No, we never will, unfortunately. But and it's funny because it all happened like right in the middle of it is kind of funny because like it all happened like right in the middle of them actually being really ambitious with like putting a bunch of stuff. Epcot was supposed to get all this, and they're building Tron, they're building Ratatouille, they're building Guardians. So a lot of new stuff coming in one bundle, and then you take a big financial hit while that's happening. And then Galaxy's Edge is just like is awesome, but it's not. I don't think it's like what they thought it was going to be. And also it's tough to find out because they didn't really get a pandemic-free summer. Right. Following the release when you think the crowds are really coming to kind of soak it up. So it just didn't.
Yes, and then and once the hotel and that all opens for that over there, and that'll add another element. But then who knows what else? Yeah, it'll be a little while before we see.
I think the Star Wars stuff's kind of funny because I thought it would be like insane, like when that opened. I don't think it got nearly as crazy as I thought it would have. You can go back. There's like podcast episode 3 on this channel before Johnny even joined, and I think we had a whole hour and a half discussion on that. And I just thought it would be like crazy popular, and it's not that it's not popular, but I don't think it's nearly as popular as I thought it was going to be. Like, I don't think it reached Harry Potter level popular.
No, I think just Rise of the Resistance reached that. But
yeah, Rise of the Resistance, that's the other thing. So when it opened with just Millennium Falcon, that slowed things down too, which I think they did on purpose anyway, slightly. That and the fact they got slowed down with the construction of Rise of the Resistance. But it's just that never, I don't know. It never reached my expectations. Maybe it reached theirs. I don't know. I doubt it though.
Yeah.
I doubt it. Because even when we were there in January, I never felt overwhelmed in that part of the park.
No.
And I know when because we rode both things together the first day we were there, and we were just checking everything out.
Yeah.
We went right to the cantina. We did everything that anyone wanted to do in that part of the park in like the first 2 hours we were there or whatever. So I don't know. Anyway, I got a little sidetracked there, but I'm just saying that's just another thing that feeds into like you wonder like where they're making or losing money, and like that they spent $1 billion on that little area of Hollywood studios. Still worth it, I think. Like Rise is still the best ride I've ever seen. It's like I could ride it over and over again, but then again, I love Star Wars, so I know there's a lot of people that do, but in the Disney fan base, I don't know. I guess I'm a little bit shocked at what I saw for that.
Yeah, I don't think they got the outside of just. I don't think they got just the hardcore Star Wars fans who aren't also Disney fans to rush in.
Yeah, I don't think they will.
No, I think they just got the Disney, who's Disney fan and a Star Wars fan, come in. They didn't get that outside like you said. Universal gets just the Harry Potter fan to come in to see.
Well, that's the thing too. So like, if you have like, what's a Star Wars fan? For example, a Star Wars fan wants nothing to do with Disney. For example, just a guy who's a Star Wars fan. He is not interested. I don't think the idea of going to the land that basically involves the the sequel trilogy thrills them that much. Like if that land were based upon everything Star Wars, if the ride was based on something out of the original trilogy or something, I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Real people way more than going and just seeing Poe. People aren't excited about Poe. People aren't excited about Rey. I like those characters. I'm fine with it, but people don't like Kylo. Like they did it, if you think about it, I like the whole idea of coming face to face with Kylo and stuff on the ride. But like if that ride was the Death Star or something, and you came face to face with Palpatine or Vader, like people would be way more excited about that.
Yeah.
And they just I think they kind of dropped the ball on that. Because where did Star Wars become popular in the parks to begin with? The meet and greets with Chewbacca, Vader, before they made any of their own movies. But over time, I guess, now they're thinking about putting the Mandalorian in there, which is their first character that they've made themselves as extremely popular, and that Baby Yoda. So,
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it kind of switches gears towards more of a Mandalorian timeline.
Yeah. And maybe start harkening back a little bit. Star Wars was popular because that harkened back to the original trilogy. Like when that first came around, all they had was the original trilogy. And people wanted to go on that ride because that. But anyway, we're sidetracked but we were just that point was just brought up to make the point that money has been lost in different angles, and that's probably part of it. Anyway, so I'll finish up. We'll talk about Big Thunder Mountain. And I think these attractions are becoming more of like a small part of each one of these podcasts, because to dedicate an entire podcast to some of these are tough. So we'll just discuss briefly a few minutes here of our thoughts on Big Thunder Mountain. First of all, I'll start. So I think for an outside queue, it may arguably be the best outside queue of any ride. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I watched a ride through today again, and it's just, I think the detail that they put into that queue it puts you in that mindset of what you are going to experience. I think, and especially that queue, that you get that outside look, and then you get that overview of like the whole area is just it's a frame of the whole thing.
I love that part of the park, first of all.
Yep.
I mean, that corner over there is just awesome. And it's funny because like Tom Sawyer Island, it's not really popular anymore and stuff, but it's like I almost never want to see it go at the same time, because it just makes it just gives the feel, you know. And like Frontierland is probably one of the better themed areas in the entire park.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Especially with the two mountains side by side. Thunder Mountain, I mean, is obviously a classic. People would, I think, you ask anybody, they'll all put it on the classic list. I wonder how much more popular it would be if it had some dark ride elements. I guess the beginning of it is kind of a dark ride element. But if it like kind of interweaved into like more dark ride type scenes, whether it be Old West or whatever would blend in, I don't know how important that would be. But it's just I always think that when I go on it, I love it. But I'm like, I wonder if there was some slow down parts here where there was more going on, with the classic Disney dark ride feel to it.
Yeah.
But
even if they brought that, I still wanted to bring that part of the Disneyland one over.
The
explosive part, which is, I mean, I don't remember if I don't think that was on the ride when I went to Disneyland, but just seeing the videos of it, it's really cool looking.
Yeah, it's really good, and Seven Dwarfs Mine Train really brought this to my attention. One thing I don't like about Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, I like the one little dark ride element of Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. That part's cool. But nowhere in that ride, like when I heard about that ride being built and never seen it, I knew what it was going to entail. Nowhere in that ride do you ever go inside and like wind to some track and like pop back out like in the dark or out of the dark. And I remember being very disappointed when I got off it the first time because of that. And I guess what I'm trying to say is like I think Thunder Mountain would have been a lot cooler too if they had
Yeah.
something like that. With that said, the beginning of Thunder Mountain when you take that first turn into the start the ride down that area, that's very
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And did you ever look? I'm sure you have. When you look off to your right, when you're climbing that first hill in that cave, how detailed and how deep that rock work goes
Yep.
into that. It's crazy. Like they did not skip any cutting corners on that.
No. Yeah. It looks
You
very.
look at it, you're like, damn, I think it was way.
Yeah, like where? Yeah, where did all this room come from?
Yeah, so they must. I mean, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
To get that done. But yeah, so that part's cool. The queue's cool, like we just said. There's some interactive features on there. Nothing crazy to write home about. I do like the ones that you can see when you crank them, or do you crank it? I can't remember. You crank it, and then you can see the little explosions outside on the actual mountain.
Mhm.
It's kind of neat. The line always moves well in that ride too, which is nice. Like I never feel like, I mean, I've jumped in it a few times at like a 60-minute clip, and I don't feel like it never ends up being that.
No.
And, like once you get down to like where you go down one side or the other on the ramp, just you're on.
Yeah, that goes real quick.
So it's a good queue. It's a good ride system that moves fast, especially for that type of ride where you're, because of the 2 trains on each side and the length of the trains. The theming is cool. You go online and you can read a little backstory. I'm not going to get too into it now, but about a little mining town and all that stuff, and what had happened there. And you do get to see a scene, albeit you go by it fast. But but it's fun, and I think it's a good starter roller coaster. If you really want to bring yourself. Would you say Slinky Dog is more thrilling or Big Thunder Mountain?
I think Thunder Mountain is just because I think you get more of, that like force on you with it has more of those tight corners than Slinky Dog, so you get a little more. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but you get that like little, that pressure you feel. You push down back in your seat going around those corners.
A little more whip.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of. Yeah, I see what you're saying. And it's like, because it's not really a drop. You don't really get a drop thrill element in Big Thunder Mountain, really.
No.
If you sit in the back seat, by the way, anyone that's not really been on it or just doesn't know this tip, I remember we had gone, our friends, and they were like, they had already done it. I'm like, we should go do it. And they're like, oh, we already did it. And we didn't really care for it because it was kind of clunky and slow. And I'm like, well, where did you sit? And they're like, towards the front or the front row. I was like, it's the best place to sit, right? I'm like, no. Let's go sit in the back. And then we got off. They're like, oh my God, it's way better. And I'm like, yeah, like no ride is quite like that one as far as like trying to get to the back, because that front part comes over the drops and gets going. And by the time you're in the back, you're whipping. It's much nicer. It's like 2 different rides. But yeah, it's a classic. I would say it's. Oh, here's a question I'll pose to you, because last week you weren't totally thrilled about Space Mountain. Which one do you prefer? Do you like Thunder over Space?
Geez, I never even compared the two. I think I do. I don't know.
You like Thunder over?
I think I like being able to see things. I don't know. I like more of a visual in that sense, where I like to see things, and because space is in the dark, but I don't know. I think I like Thunder more if I think about it.
Yeah, I know. Like when I first went to Disney World as a kid, what stuck in my head the most was anything visual. Like my mind was blown by like the Haunted Mansion. It was blown by Pirates. It was blown by, back then they had a lot of dark rides, and Epcot, all the like Horizons, World of Motion, all that stuff was there. And even at the time, because it wasn't dated yet, Universe of Energy and stuff. And that was the stuff that stuck in my mind. So I'm kind of with you on that. I feel like when I go to Disney and I get just like an experience on a particular ride, say like even Slinky Dog kind of falls in this category where I feel like I could get that experience at any park, just for a roller coaster. I feel like I got a little gypped, on it, like something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I do like Slinky though. I'm just saying, like, I'm trying to give an example.
Yeah.
So I thought I like with the Seven Dwarfs, for example, I like the fact that we at least get some dark ride element there. Because I think that's just what they do best, and it's should always be there. With that said, Space Mountain is nothing crazy about it, but I just love it. I guess because of the queue. I don't know what it is about Space Mountain, but yeah. But anyway, back to the point is I get what you're saying with that.
Yeah.
Which is why Pirates and Haunted Mansion continue to be my two favorite attractions. Two of my top three: the Splash Mountain. The Splash Mountain is probably the best ride as far as the perfect balance between dark ride and thrill ride I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Disney. That and like Tower of Terror maybe, but yeah, like you don't get a dinosaur things like when you get that perfect connection, it's nice, but it's just, it doesn't happen often. And two Harry Potter rides do it very well, for example. But anyway, yeah. So I would say I give Thunder Mountain a thumbs up. I think most people do, but I would not put it in my top three.
No. Not in the
Top
top
10?
Yeah.
Top 5? Top 10?
At least top 10.
Yeah, it's top 10.
Yeah.
We have to do
I think it's one of the best themed rides over, like the whole concept of everything throughout the queue, the ride. They went through a lot of work to make it so detailed. And even though you're going past those little town scenes that fast, I'm sure if you actually could walk around, it'd be extremely detailed, even for that 2 seconds you drive by it.
Oh, I agree. I agree with that. I guess if I would afford to complain, it would be that the backstory is good, but you get the backstory from another, like a third party story. I guess what I was talking about earlier with having maybe one or two dark ride scenes would be you could tell the story, and then but what are you gonna do? It's never gonna happen. So it is what it is, and it's still a great ride. It's still a must-do for me every time I go. Usually more than once, because it's fun. And side note, it is amazing if you time it just right with the fireworks, climbing those hills and watching the fireworks go all over the castle.
Yes, I've heard but never experienced that.
Yeah, we've always tried that. We did it happened by accident when we were at our friend Farrah's wedding 5 years ago, and then ever since then we always try to make a mental note to do it every time, and we usually do. Splash Mountain's got a good view too, but it's a lot. I find it a little more difficult to get it timed right, but
yeah,
you can get some good views there. But anyway, I think we've talked enough, and I'm tired. So, same thing I say every week. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe. Try to get a little more traffic on YouTube, so pass the word on to friends. We're going to, Sarah's been going to pump these out on Facebook too, so see it in your feed, share it, like it, all that good stuff. Twitter handles down here. Once again, Johnny's usually not totally active, but I've been much more active lately. So, questions or comments, please send them to me. And if you hate me, just send something. It's always fun to discuss. And we'll be back next week. And have a good week.